Hey everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to the session of Perspective 360 Degree. We do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. So, in today's session, we are going to talk about another important topic, and which is basically a report released by Niti Aayog. The name of the report is, wait a second. So the name of the report is Expanding Quality Higher Education Through States and Public Universities. And as I told you that the report has been released by Niti Aayog. And the context of this report with respect to your syllabus is basically directly related to the education sector, very specifically the higher education sector. Fine, we know that it is a part of your syllabus. And as a part of this session, what we are going to do, firstly, we are going to see the different challenges that are associated with higher education sector as a part mentioned as a part of this report. Then we are going to see the solutions also. Apart from that, I'm also going to provide you some valuable data and other type of information that of course you can add as a part of your notes. Fine. So if you're following this session, then you don't have to go anywhere else, because that would be sufficient for the preparation of this topic. Apart from this, what I want you to do, I just want you to prepare some kind of important initiatives or schemes that have been launched by the government in order to support higher education sector in India. Fine, this is the only thing that I want you to do. And apart from that, rest of the information we are going to discuss as a part of this session using this report. Fine. So I hope the approach, the idea behind this session is clear to you. Now, this is the expected question for today. What are the key challenges facing higher education in India, and what solutions can be implemented to address these challenges? And as you know that what you have to do, you have to write the answer to this expected question within 48 hours as a part of the comment box. Fine. And what will happen after this, our team is going to evaluate your answer. Fine. So that is the idea behind this series, and I hope it is clear to you. Moving forward, now this is the data that I have taken from ISHE report 2021 to 20, and you can add this data, the important data, as a part of your notes, and you can use it as a part of value addition stuff also in your answers. Fine. So that is the reason why I have not written any kind of introduction today. This is your homework, and how you're going to write this introduction, basically using this data and some kind of connecting lines, also sort of things which we'll do in all our classes. So this introduction is your homework for today's session. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Now moving on to the body part, let us see the first challenge with respect to quality higher education in India. Now, the first challenge is basically inefficient accreditation system. Now, with respect to accreditation system, we have a very important body in our country, which is NAC. NAC stands for National Assessment and Accreditation Council. And what is the role of this NAC? The role of this NAC is to evaluate and certify different kind of institutions based on different kind of criteria. What type of criteria? For example, it can be related to curriculum. Fine. It can be related to the faculty quality. It can be related to the infrastructure also, etc. A list is there, and based on those criteria, basically it evaluates and it certifies the different type of institutions in our country. Now, where is the problem? The problem is that if you talk about the higher education institutes in our country, over there, less than 39% of the universities have been accredited. You can see the number is very less. Fine. Let me read the statement for you. Despite the NAC accreditation system being in place for nearly 35 years, less than 39% of the universities have been accredited. Now, what is the reason behind it? There are multiple type of reasons, but one of the important reasons is basically the high cost that is associated with accreditation. The thing is that whenever a certain type of institution has to apply for NAC accreditation, what it has to do, it has to file its application. And basically this application process charges a lot of fee from these education institutions. Fine. So they have to pay very high fee. Fine. With respect to that, apart from that, apart from this fee, they also have to take the burden of the administrative cost. They also have to undergo documentation process. A lot of complex documentation mechanism is there. Apart from that, they also need to spend time with respect to preparation of on-site evaluation. Who is going to do this on-site evaluation? It will be done by this NAC team, the NAC officials. So a lot of, I would say, the documentation, the high fee, fine, such kind of issues are there. And we also know that if you talk about the universities, the institutions, fine, the higher education institutions that are there in our country, they are very much, they are very much resource constrained. They are very much resource constrained. And this whole accreditation process is a resource intensive process, and it requires detailed self assessment report. It requires a lot of data collection also, and apart from that you have to collect a lot of evidence also to show to the scheme, that to show to the officials of NAC that you are meeting the standards, you are aligning basically with the standards that have been set by this NAC accreditation system. Fine. So a lot of, I would say, this is a resource intensive process, but the thing is that the most of the universities that are there in our country, they have budget constraints. Fine, the budget is very much limited, and that is the reason that only less than 39% of the universities have been accredited as a part of our country. Fine. So that is, I would say, something which is problematic. And you can see from this newspaper article also that colleges struggle with NAC assessment due to high fees and norms. Fine. So this article was mentioned. So you can see that how basically this fee is high, administrative cost is there, complex forms are there, also sort of things are there which act as a barrier with respect to the accreditation. And you can see this map also. I've taken this map directly from the report, and it gives you an idea that what type of regional disparity is there with respect to this accreditation. So I hope it is clear to you. So this is regarding the inefficient accreditation system that is there as a part of our country regarding the higher education. Moving on to the next point. The next point is pretty much easy to understand. It is related to financing gap that is there. So when we talk about India's rank in terms of overall tertiary education budget, then we rank fourth. Fine, which is a good sign. Fourth rank बुरा नहीं है, it is a good sign. But the problem is that if you talk about per capita government expenditure on tertiary education, per capita, this is not very much high. This is low. It is only about $30. If you talk about countries like Brazil, in Brazil, the expenditure, the per capita expenditure is 2.6 times higher than India, whereas in developed countries like USA, it is 35 times higher. Now, if this expenditure is low, what is going to be the problem? The problem will be there with respect to infrastructure. The problem, very importantly, is going to be related to the research and development also, because we know that these higher education institutions are a hub of research. Fine. So we need to provide them funding. We need to have good amount of expenditure. We need to have good amount of budget with respect to this sector. So this, all these parameters get hampered if the per capita government expenditure is not very much high, which is again a problematic factor under the financing gap. The next is suboptimal research. Now, as I told you, if the financing gap is not is very high, if the financing is not good, what is going to happen? It is directly going to impact the research and development, and that is the reason. Basically, the point says that the government expenditure on research and development remains low. It is around 0.64% of GDP. If you want to know the international average with respect to, I would say, or you can talk about most of the advanced economies, how much they are contributing. So on an average, they are contributing around 2.6%. So 2.6% is much higher than 0.64% of the GDP. So this is somewhere, I would say, this is a huge gap. This is a huge mismatch. And that is why we are suffering this challenge of suboptimal research uh, as a part of our higher education institutions. Fine. So due to this, what happens basically, researchers, they face different kind of challenges. For example, due to funding, the challenges related to recognition, the commercialization of prototypes, and career advancement opportunities also leading to shortage of quality PhD candidates and faculty. And when these PhD candidates, they are able to complete their PhD, what basically happen? Most of them, they not most of them, but a huge number of PhD, I would say, the PhD holders, what they do, they start moving to the foreign countries. Fine. So to the foreign nations, which basically leads to the problem of brain drain, and again another type of challenge, which is just an output of this certain type of problem only. Fine. So this is related to the suboptimal research that is there. The next is the policy and governance issues. So over here also we have multiple type of challenges. For example, if we talk about the multidisciplinary education gap. So when we talk about the multidisciplinary institutions or the multidisciplinary universities, basically these are the type of universities that offer research opportunities in different type of disciplines. For example, science also, technology also, humanities also, finance also. All such fields are are there together as a part of this multidisciplinary universities or multidisciplinary institutions. Fine, so that there is a better learning environment, conducive environment, and a research oriented environment. But the challenge is that basically India's lack a robust framework with respect to the multidisciplinary education. And since the robust framework is not there with respect to the technology, with respect to the administration also, and that is, I would say, a very important challenge that is there with respect to that. The next policy and the governance challenge can be related to the university tax burden also. If we talk about the revenue of the universities earn revenues from different type of sources. For example, from tuition fees, fine, the fee that is paid by the students. It can be with the help of, I would say, the grants also, the research grants that it receives from the side of the government, fine, and other type of multiple type of factors, multiple type of parameters. But the thing is that these sources of revenue are basically taxed by the government, which basically creates different kind of challenges for the financial sustainability of these universities. Apart from that, universities also have to pay commercial rates for utilities, for example, the electricity bill, the water bill, the internet bill, different kind of utilities. Fine. And the universities, they face taxation and such kind of commercial rates that they have to pay, which again increases the burden with respect to the financial sustainability of these universities. The next point is limited autonomy. The universities, these higher education institutions, they also face autonomy related issues. For example, they are regulated strictly by the government with respect to the fee that they are going to charge from the students, also with respect to the curriculum development. Fine, the curriculum development regulation framework is also there, which basically hinders the capacity of these institutions to take steps. It basically affects their decision making power and also limits the innovation from their end. Fine. So these are the areas that are problematic from the side of policy and the governance factors. I hope it is clear to you. The next point is regarding regional disparities. Regional disparity मतलब कि हर जगह same type की education, same quality की education नहीं पहुंच पा रही है. If you look at the chart, if you okay, the chart is not there, but the data is there. The high with respect to the university density. So the highest density are in Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and Ladakh, whereas states like Bihar, UP, West Bengal, and Maharashtra have densities below the national average. Fine. So this is as per ICA report, and this is, I would say, again a problematic factor which highlights the regional disparity that is there. Now let us look at the solutions that can be there with respect to the associated problems. So the first challenge that we discussed was the inefficient accreditation system. Regarding this, what we can do, we can basically provide funding and better financing to the universities, and that is going to ensure through the better budget allocation as a part of our GDP. And we need to follow the national education policy recommendations also with respect to the budget allocations to the education sector, and that is going to help us in the long run. Fine. And we also need to leverage the potential of PPP, which will help us to improve the infrastructure as well as the skill development with respect to the higher educations. So that is going to improve the efficiency with respect to this institution. So this is going to solve two type of problems. Firstly, the inefficient accreditation system that is there. Apart from that, the financing gap that is there, this can be tackled through such type of ideas. The next point or the next challenge was related to suboptimal research. Now regarding suboptimal research, what we can do, we can bring a policy framework, we can develop and implement a well dedicated national research policy. As a part of this national research policy, what basically we can do, the government can provide clear guidelines as well as strategies for advancing the research in this higher education. That is going to solve this suboptimal research that is there in our country. Apart from that, we need to go for capacity building also, capacity building programs, for example, training of faculties, the administrators, so that we can bring the efficiency in the workflow of the universities. For example, the Maharashtra State Development Academy, Faculty Development Academy was set up to enhance the skill of the faculties, to enhance the faculty skills. So that such type of departments can be created, such kind of academies can be created in different states, so that basically the research and the approach towards it can be improved. Then the third is regarding internationalization of higher education. Regarding this, the Gujarat Gift City has allowed world-class research universities to establish campuses within its premises. Fine. I hope you know about Gift City, which is basically a special economic zone. And this kind of, I would say, permission to set up the world-class universities in the Gift City, it is going to increase the standard with respect to the higher education institutions. Now the third challenge. The third challenge was with respect to the policy and the governance issues that are there. Now, regarding this, the reports highlights a very important point. It says that the government needs to change its role from just a regulator to a regulator facilitator model. Fine. So the government, when the government just acts as a regulator, it basically means that government is a kind of strict regulator. When I say strict regulator, it basically means that government is just focusing on dictating dictating different type of rules, regulations, guidelines, or the laws. Fine. But the report says that the government needs to show the transition from the regulatory model to the regulatory facilitator model. What basically means, it means basically apart from framing the guidelines or the rules for the universities, government also needs to provide the resources to them and should also play the role with respect to providing the incentives to them. So for example, if the government frames any kind of rules or the guideline, then it is also the job of the government to provide the resources to the institution so that they can abide by these rules. Fine. Apart from that, those universities who are performing at the best level, who are performing very good with respect to these rules, with respect to these guidelines, what the government can do, government can provide the incentives to those universities also. Fine. To those higher education institutions also. So that is something that is going to help the government in a long run. So instead of dictating every detail, the government focuses on creating enabling environment that helps the universities thrive. So that is the idea as a part of this regulatory facilitator model. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you that that is going to solve our challenges related to policy and governance, which we have discussed in one of our previous slides. द नेक्स्ट चैलेंज वाज रिलेटेड टू रीजनल डिस्पैरिटी. अब इसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, हर जगह क्वालिटी एजुकेशन नहीं है, हर जगह अच्छी एजुकेशन नहीं है, सभी रीजन्स पे बराबर की एजुकेशन नहीं है, तो उसके लिए डिजिटाइजेशन इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट सोल्यूशंस. व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट कैन डू, ऑफ कोर्स इट कैन एस्टैब्लिश डेडिकेटेड डिजिटल लर्निंग सेंटर्स, इट कैन अडॉप्ट डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म्स टू मैनेज द स्टूडेंट लाइफ साइकिल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दिस इज एन इनिशिएटिव from Kerala's Let's Go Digital initiatives that promoted the digital learning through ICT based teaching methods and digital course content. Fine, so that can be an example of that. I hope it is clear to everyone. Last but not the least, we have the conclusion. To address the challenges in India's higher education, a combination of policy reforms and innovative schemes is essential. Initiatives like National Education Policy 2020, PMRF, which is Pradhan Mantri Research Fellowship Scheme, and HEFA, which is Higher Education Financing Agency, focuses on improving research, infrastructure, and funding. Fine. So that is the job of HEFA, which provides the funding with respect to higher education. And the programs like NDR and the PM internship scheme will bridge the regional gaps, enhance employability, and provide better access to quality education. These steps will pave the way for a more autonomous, innovative, and globally competitive higher education system in India. Fine. So that is going to be the conclusion. So this is just a sample conclusion. As I always say that you should try your best to write your own version of conclusion. That is going to help you in the long run. Now that is it from my end. And this is the budget initiatives that have been taken regarding the higher education. So you can see the as per the budget's announcement, finance minister announced that 10,000 PM research fellows will be selected. Fine. And basically the job of this PMRF is that is Pradhan Mantri, so the Prime Minister Research Fellowship Program. It is designed to support India's top talents in doctoral research. Apart from that, the government has also announced 6,500 additional seats in second generation IITs so that they can expand the quality technical education. And another third initiative regarding higher education was related to Bharatiya Bhasha textbook scheme that was basically introduced in order to promote education in the regional languages. Fine. So you can read more about it. And the point is that please add it as a part of your notes. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही recent announcements है, तो अगर इसको आप अपने आंसर में लिखोगे डिस्क्रिप्टिव पेपर में, तो आपको जरूर ज़्यादा बेहतर मार्क्स मिलेंगे. फाइन. सो इट इज गोइंग टू add value to your answer. So please add it as a part of your notes. और बाकी कुछ और इनिशिएटिव्स भी ऐड कर लेना जो ऑफ कोर्स वैल्यू एडिशन के लिए यूज कर सको. कुछ स्कीम्स हो गए, कुछ रिसेंट इनिशिएटिव्स एंड कुछ ऑल टाइम एवरग्रीन इनिशिएटिव जैसे कि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी. दस टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स यू कैन ऐड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर नोट. फाइन. एंड द टॉपिक इज डन. इससे ज्यादा इसमें कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपको ज्यादा से ज्यादा चैलेंजेस, सोल्यूशंस, कुछ डेटा और कुछ स्कीम्स पता होनी चाहिए. उससे ज्यादा कुछ है भी नहीं. क्वेश्चन यहीं कहीं से ही आता है ज्यादातर. ठीक है. So that is the idea and this is the answer blueprint. Need to write the introduction. As I always say, 10 to 12% of the total word limit. The same with the same case is going to be with the conclusion also. Rest of the word limit for the body part by writing your body in the form of heading and subheading, where you will write your answer in the form of points, not paragraphs, and you will try to substantiate using data, facts, and examples. I hope it is clear to all of you. Fine. And these are the EduTab blocks where you can find informative articles regarding various competitive exam, and this is the question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box. Fine. So 400 words, 10 marker, go for it and write your answer. Fine. So that is the idea, and that is it from my end. Thank you so much and all the best. Before I end the session, let me just go through the chat box if there is something, any question, any doubt. Yes, Aditya Raj, you have to type the answers in comment section here under the video. Under the video. Vaishnavi is saying voice is very low. Is my voice low? अब वैसे कुछ हो नहीं सकता क्योंकि सेशन तो खत्म हो गया, लेकिन नेक्स्ट टाइम से मैं ध्यान रखूंगा, थोड़ा सा ऊंचा करके सुन लेना या फिर हेडफोन्स पहन के आज की क्लास के लिए. आई विल लुक इनटू इट दैट इफ देयर इज एनी टेक्निकल इशू. फाइन फ्रॉम माय एंड, आई विल फिक्स इट, नॉट वरी वैष्णवी. ठीक है. So that is it. That is it. And now we will meet on Friday, the new topic. So thank you so much and all the best.